Folks, welcome to Werewolf Radar, the world's premier paranormal preparedness podcast. My name's Jordan Dahl.
I am Nate Balding.
I am the almost hairless Roger Norquist. I feel it's important to tell people.
We call him Otter Norquist.
Today's episode of Werewolf Radar is brought to you by the Monstroco History Capsule. Tired of living in interesting times? Seal yourself into this iron life-preserving ball and be buried 12 to 15 feet underground to await a more perfect world. Perhaps they will have things figured out in 2 or 3 hundo. Or maybe you get the future with the horse people. Climb in and find out. The future belongs to Monstroco.
I could go for a horse utopia right now.
Go for Horsetopia.
I kind of want a shirt that says the future belongs to Monstroco.
Me too.
In a moment, I'm going to our merch store, and I will write that down in a draft.
Well, if there's a horse future that they know about, you better believe that it's somehow related to something they did. So, as some of you may or may not have heard, they tried to shoot that guy. Somebody tried to shoot that guy. Wild times popping off. This got me thinking about
Leon Solix?
Abraham Lincoln's ghost.
The most famous ghost of an assassinated president.
People talk about Abraham Lincoln's ghost. It's kind of a trope. I think he shows up in Scooby-Doo more than once. I wanted to kind of dig into it. And the first thing I got when I put in Lincoln's ghost is just the Wikipedia page. And there are like no less than probably 13 or 14 accounts here.
So many sightings.
So we're just going to go straight through this thing. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be riff heavy. Jump in. Let's get going in a segment that I'm calling Lincoln's Ghost. So,
It's ready by Monday.
the ghost of U.S. President Abraham Lincoln, also known as the White House Ghost, is said to have haunted the White House since Lincoln's assassination in 1865. Lincoln's ghost has also been said to haunt many of his former residences in Springfield, Illinois.
That's the correct way to pronounce it, yes.
Yep.
Including his former law office. Of the several stories about the ghosts of former presidents of the United States revisiting the White House, Lincoln's ghost is perhaps the most common and popular. Can we get a deep radar ping on the other ghost?
I'm sure someone's seen a JFK walking around with his
Maybe.
I don't
brain
think
hanging down.
JFK's really been
fucking
seen.
crank
Of course, the Google AI will only shout about Abraham Lincoln.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, if you were a ghost, if it was like a Ghostbusters style ghost situation and you were Taft in a bathtub, do you think that's the type of ghost that you want to be? Does that sound like a pleasant afterlife? Just chilling in the tub? Or do you think you'd want to get out at some point?
It sounds kind of like a Slimer life.
That's what I was gonna say. Overall, me and my lady have really gotten into spa-cations. You know, you do a spa for your vacation, and I would just live in a tub. So I'm for it. I will become the Slimer.
Here's the thing. I don't think it would be very pleasant.
I mean, yeah, do you have to get like wrinkly and be in cold water?
Yeah, if I said Ghostbusters style, and it's like, yeah, you're gonna like, it's gonna be bones, and the water will get cold, and there's like stuff lurking underneath there. I think it would be pretty unpleasant. Of the several stories about ghosts of former presidents of the United States revisiting the White House, Lincoln's ghost is perhaps the most common and popular. First Lady Grace Coolidge, Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands, Prime Minister Winston Churchill, and President Theodore Roosevelt T-Row are among those claimed to have stated they saw Lincoln's ghost in the White House. Reported apparitions. The White House's most famous alleged apparition is that of Abraham Lincoln. The first person reported to have actually seen Lincoln's spirit was First Lady Grace Coolidge, who said she saw the ghost of Lincoln standing at the window in the Yellow Oval Room, staring out at the Potomac.
That's the Oval Office, right?
The Yellow Oval Room is an oval room located on the south side of the second floor in the White House, the official residence of the President of the United States. First used as a drawing room in the John Adams administration, it has been a library, office, and family parlor.
Neat.
There you go. Perhaps the most famous incident was in 1942 when Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands allegedly heard footsteps outside her White House bedroom and answered a knock at the door, only to see Lincoln in frock coat and top hat standing in front of her. She fainted.
I would as well. Straight up. How do you maintain your constitution, as they would say back then, in such a moment?
Don't know.
I would either faint or try to punch it.
Shooting his shot. He had to show himself to Queen Wilhelmina. Although
I would
a lot of
imagine
people
you
say
would.
Lincoln was gay, so maybe it wasn't even that wasn't
Yeah,
he
you
wasn't
would.
even making a night move.
He was at least bi. He banged his bodyguard, but he also banged his wife. So
It's true.
Anyway,
You
moving
know, I
on.
mean, yeah, Lincoln probably
Sorry.
swung. However,
That deserved that
he was
star.
pansexual. Lincoln probably f***ed all those logs down that he turned into his house.
Bump, bump, banana, bump. Let's go, girls. Okay. British Prime Minister Winston Churchill loved to retire late, take a long hot bath while drinking scotch, and smoke a cigar and relax. There is an account that on this occasion he climbed out of the bath and, naked, but for his cigar, walked into the adjoining bedroom. He was startled to see Lincoln standing by the fireplace in the room, leaning on the mantel. Churchill.
Wait, at his house?
No.
Or he's
White
visiting the
House.
White House. Okay.
Churchill, always quick on the uptake, simply took his cigar out of his mouth, tapped the ash off the end of his cigar, and said, "Good evening, Mr. President. You seem to have me at a disadvantage." Lincoln smiled softly, as if laughing, and disappeared.
Wait, so this is different. This is like an intelligent Lincoln haunting.
Dude.
Haunting, sorry.
Yeah. President Theodore Roosevelt, presidential daughter Maureen Reagan, her husband Dennis C. Revel, and a number of staff members of the Franklin D. Roosevelt administration all claim to have seen Lincoln's spirit. On one occasion, FDR's personal valet ran screaming from the White House, claiming he had seen Lincoln's ghost.
Sir, you've embodied democracy too much. You've summoned Abraham Lincoln.
Lincoln, we need you to start getting spooky in there. Eleanor Roosevelt never admitted to having seen Lincoln's ghost, but did say that she felt his presence repeatedly throughout the White House. She also said that the Roosevelt family dog, Fala, would sometimes bark for no reason at what she felt was Lincoln's ghost. Fala, a Scottish Terrier, was the dog of United States President Franklin D. Roosevelt. One of the most famous presidential pets, Fala was taken to many places by Roosevelt. Given to the Roosevelts by a cousin, Fala knew how to perform tricks.
You know who else was a cousin? Eleanor.
Yeah.
President Dwight Eisenhower's.
This dog could do close-up magic, right?
Yeah, no, this dog could do fucking tricks.
You could do your taxes.
Doing like 3-card money and shit.
Hell yeah. President Dwight Eisenhower's press secretary, James Haggerty, and Liz Carpenter, press secretary to First Lady Lady Bird Johnson, both said they felt Lincoln's presence many times. The former president's footsteps are also said to be heard in the hall outside the Lincoln bedroom. Lillian Rogers Parks stated that in her 1961 autobiography, My 30 Years Backstairs at the White House, that she had heard them. Margaret Truman, daughter of President Harry S. Truman, said she heard a specter rapping at the door of the Lincoln bedroom when she stayed there and believed it was Lincoln.
I think Lincoln just wants to go to sleep.
Maybe.
Why is everyone in my goddamn bedroom?
I wonder if Abraham Lincoln's ghost is such a strong entity, such a recurring entity, because he was president over the Civil War and that caused a lot of Nope, finish that one. A lot of psychedelic energy everywhere.
Psychic energons.
Yeah. He took a lot of ayahuasca. It
was a turning point of American history. He was a very kind of pivotal figure.
And that just kind of cemented that to be like, no, his ghost is the presidential ghost. Although we've said people have seen other people's ghosts, but his is the ghost you see.
President Truman himself was once awakened by raps at the door while spending a night in the Lincoln bedroom. It's also funny to imagine that he's like rapping. I'm rapping A.B. and I'm here to say, you know, if you want to drink beer, that's the only way. I said the only way. Several unnamed eyewitnesses have claimed to have seen the shade of Abraham Lincoln actually lying down on the bed in the Lincoln bedroom, which was used as a meeting room at the time of his administration. And while others have seen Lincoln sit on the edge of the bed and put his boots on, the most famous eyewitness to the latter was Mary Eben, Eleanor Roosevelt's secretary, who saw Lincoln pulling on his boots, after which she ran screaming from the room. Wow. Lincoln's ghost was reportedly seen outside the White House, as well as in Loudonville, New York. Lincoln's ghost was said to haunt the house that was owned by a woman who was present at Ford's Theater. Interesting. When Lincoln was shot by John Wilkes Booth. Other hauntings include his grave in Springfield, Illinois, a portrait of Mary Todd Lincoln. I just went and watched Oh, Mary on Broadway. It was very funny. Go check it out.
All right.
It's about Mary Todd Lincoln. Has nothing to do with history.
Nice. So it's all about her paranormal ghost hunting business.
No, it's about she wants to be a cabaret dancer.
Even better.
Okay.
It's very funny. The last reported sighting of Lincoln's ghost was in the early 1980s when Tony Savoy, White House operations foreman, came into the White House and saw Lincoln sitting in a chair at the top of some stairs. Abraham Lincoln is not the only Lincoln ghost witnesses claim to have seen in the White House. Willie Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln's 11-year-old son, died in the White House of typhoid on February 20th, 1862. Willie Lincoln's ghost was first reported to have been seen in the White House by staff members of the Grant administration in the 1870s, but reports have been made as recently as the 1960s. President Lyndon B. Johnson's college-age daughter, Linda Bird Johnson Robb, claims to have seen the ghost and spoken to him.
I can't imagine speaking to a ghost. I've been yelled at by what I think a ghost was, but not converse with it.
Yelled at you?
Yeah, remember is in that apartment where the doll moved once again. It's woke up one night for some reason and I saw this blue mist by my bedroom door and it screamed a blood curtain scream at me.
Oh, wow. I've never heard that story.
Oh, well, that's the story. My brother and I shared a bunk bed and he did not wake up. No evidence or corroboration. It's just something that I have a very vivid memory of.
That's horrifying.
The doll, I think, moving was worse. That was, of course, horrifying. But I went to bed going like, it's
really
done.
Bad.
The doll, I ran out of my apartment or my parents' apartment for 3 hours until they came back home. And my mom still doesn't know where the goddamn doll is.
So it was gone when you came back?
No, it was gone when we moved. My mom packed it up. She swore, and she's never found it again.
How did your mom not get rid of it after you saw it move?
I don't think my mom loves me.
Well, that does it for my segment that I'm calling The Lincoln Ghost, or How to Be a Ghost in the White House.
Good segment. I like it.
Yeah, I believe Lincoln's son, Robert, was present for McKinley's assassination and possibly for the attempted assassination of Teddy Roosevelt.
Jeez, the kid just brings that type of energy.
Yeah, I know he's associated with more than one presidential assassination.
Wait, did he?
Well, no, he was,
Okay.
For McKinley, I think he was around the corner in the same building that McKinley was walking out of or whatever.
Well, I'll let you hold the skull because I started. I'll go last this time.
All right. Well, it's the middle of the summer and it's hot AF. So I thought we might take a little trip to the Arctic.
Oh, finally get some ice under my toes.
Ice Ghost.
Yeah, baby.
The Ice Geist.
So these are, and I might jump between two different articles here. One of them is 10 ghost stories below the Antarctic Circle, and the other is 7 frightfully fun polar ghost stories. So, Arctic stuff, either north or south.
Both are cold. Both will cool me the down. It is too hot.
We're going to start at the South Pole with somehow the ghost of Vladimir Lenin.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay, which is weird because he's kind of close to the Arctic.
Well, turns out Well, then this article says Vladimir Lenin is well known for being one of the most influential political leaders of the Soviet Union, which I feel like we all probably knew, until his death of a stroke in 1923. At no point during his life was Vladimir Lenin an explorer of the South Pole, but despite that, it is claimed that his ghost lingers at a particularly haunting location, an old Soviet base discovered at the South Pole of Inaccessibility, which apparently is a place. It's literally called the South Pole of Inaccessibility. So I don't know how they got there.
Yeah.
Fighting the whole way, I bet.
Well, I mean, yeah.
This place is damn inaccessible.
We lost 37 people to get here.
I mean, it's damn inaccessible.
While Antarctica is home to the South Pole, the southernmost point of the planet isn't at the direct center of the continent. The direct center of the continent, furthest away from the shore, is known as the Antarctic Pole of Inaccessibility. In 1959, the Soviet Union built a base there, so it even makes less sense that, I mean, Lenin was dead long before this happened, though the building was buried in snow by the 60s, 1 year later. However, a giant plastic bust of Vladimir Lenin watches over the site from above the snowdrifts, even to this day. To make matters more mysterious, some claim to have seen the ethereal presence of Lenin floating about before the base ceased being used.
Oh boy.
And I recommend Google imaging the Lenin bust because it's pretty weird, just sitting there in the middle of nowhere.
Sure.
Oh, it's on the YouTube video now, I assure you.
And then we'll go up to Whalers Bay. When one thinks of Antarctica, a wintry wasteland is more prone to form in one's mind before something like a volcano.
Sure.
Deception Island, however, is an island close to the Antarctic Peninsula that just so happens to be an active volcano. The last instance of an eruption only took place in 1970. According to some legends, though, lava isn't the only thing someone should be wary of should they decide to take a trip to the island. Specifically, Whalers Bay is said to play hosts to ghosts. Though a ghost town in the present day, Whalers Bay was a small community that housed whalers from Norway and Chile and was founded in 1904. What remains today are a few old wooden structures, a cemetery, and huge tanks once used to boil whole whales.
Wow.
Which is insane to me.
That is insane, isn't it?
Whales are so
coming
huge.
across that.
Yeah.
The smell.
The smell.
Oh, it couldn't have been good. I mean, there's probably ghosts weren't the only reason that everyone wanted to leave.
And people were eating them too, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah. Sell the oil, probably eat the fat that's left over. Nowadays, the island is visited by tourists who witness paranormal occurrences, from hearing odd disembodied noises to seeing even stranger ethereal floating shapes. Apparently, this was also on an episode of Destination Truth.
I follow a couple of Inuit TikTokers, and like food conservation is a big thing, like cultural foods and stuff up there, and it's really interesting. You see them eat a lot of whale skin.
But it's very good. Do they fry it up?
No, they eat it. They put down cardboard because it's very oily to soak up the oil, and then they slice off pieces of it, and they put soy sauce on it.
Ooh.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. It's dope. I mean, they wouldn't have had soy sauce in the distant past, of course. But...
Yeah, but sometimes modernization is better.
They might have. I mean, I don't know how ancient soy sauce is.
It's
ancient, but
ancient Inuit rudimentary ketchup. I could see that.
All right.
Originally ketchup was made of mushrooms.
Did not.
And then and then according to some people, it was originally like fish sauce.
And that makes sense to me. I mean, fish sauce was probably the base for a ton of condiments.
I like fish sauce. Reject modernity. Accept tradition.
Accept fish sauce.
Anyway, the other place I wanted to mention with a fun name is Blood Falls.
Wow.
Yes.
Where are you going hiking?
Blood Falls.
There's something so funny to me about Like places that are named like about like the blood orange, where it's like red inside. It's like
Yes.
well, there was one orange scientist that everybody was like, "What do we call this?" And one just super goth orange scientist was
The
like, "The
blood
blood
orange.
orange," not like a red lady or like a crimson orange or something. We're going full metal with this blood orange.
Yeah. So the blood falls. I mean, it's not really haunted or anything. It just looks really cool. It's just
Mhm.
oxidized iron that's
Oh,
in
so
the
it's actually
falls,
like bloody.
but it just looks like, yeah, there's blood pouring down the side of this mountain.
Spooky,
Anyway,
spookus.
let's go to a real haunted place, the Wordy House.
Ah,
Shackleton, of course, we all know, the man
yes.
who explored to the South Pole. However, he was not the first. The many expeditions that he led would result him in receiving a knighthood. His treks wouldn't be without problems, though, and in 1915 he would be forced to abandon his ship, the Endurance, after it ran
Mhm.
aground and found itself skewered by ice.
Skewered by ice.
Though Shackleton began a journey across the continent to find help, the remaining men would be stranded for 2 years.
Ooh.
It's a lot. It's a lot of years.
And I assume they all died.
Well, Wordy, excuse me.
Eventually.
Wordy House was the name given to a base that was constructed in 1947, and as it turns out, it was built close enough to where the Endurance found itself wrecked that people claim that the ship's ghosts relocated there. They went inside, of course, it's freezing.
Yeah.
Doors have been known to slam shut on their own, and objects will often fly across the room on their own. And some who enter the building report a strange, menacing presence washing over them.
Hmm. Could it be Dennis the menacing presence?
Could be. I mean, he's got to be dead by now.
Sure.
Then we've got the Air New Zealand Flight 901. They don't make it. November 28th, 1979.
Lord.
Air New Zealand Flight 901 would tragically collide with Mount Erebus on Ross Island in Antarctica, leading to the death of all 257 people on board. This would later be known as the Mount Erebus disaster. The crash of the sightseeing plane is still New Zealand's deadliest accident to this day, though the Antarctic scenic flight industry would recover afterward.
Okay.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, it was a scenic flight industry.
Yeah, I was also
Yeah,
like,
they
where
were
were they
just-
going to where you gotta
Antarctica.
go through South or the
It was-
South Pole?
It's a scenic flight, but it fits 257 people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a 747. How scenic can it be? Like, I mean, I guess you're just looking out the window. Like, what if you're in the aisle?
I
good
think
point.
everyone looks each other in the eyes and shakes hands to be, you will move for me when the cool shit's on your side of the aisle, right? And everyone's all like, yes, I will. Everyone gets 30 seconds a gander.
Look.
Fair enough.
Ice.
More ice.
For now.
Is that a mountain? Uh-oh. McMurdo Station, apparently, and I didn't know this, operated by New Zealand personnel. I thought it was kind of a lot of people, but
Yeah, universal country type fare. Everyone
Yeah.
helps out.
is Antarctica's largest established base and all happens to be located on Ross Island. Some claim, however, that the restless spirits of Flight 901 have coalesced at the base, leading to reports of poltergeist activity similar to the Wordy House. Others also claim that the actual location of the crash site itself is haunted. People claim to hear disembodied voices crying out, and others report seeing footprints form in the snow all on their own.
That would
Pretty
be
terrifying.
freaky. Yeah, to know that you're like the only 5 people out here and you're like the lead and you're like, hold up. There's footsteps in front of me.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Especially after like a fresh snow or something, you know, to where like this has all been clear. Who else is out here?
So let's go to Scott's Hut. In 1911, 2 different exploration teams endeavored to become the first group to ever reach the South Pole. Though the Norwegian expedition, led by Roald Amundsen, would eventually achieve that accolade, the British expedition, led by Sir Robert Falcon Scott, would be met with a different fate. Not only would they lose the race against Norway, but the five-man team would also pass away from falls, frostbite, and general exposure on the way back, including Scott himself. A team of 25 men, known as the Terra Nova Expedition, would spend the winter of 1911 at the newest hut built by Scott, and it was from this group that the five doomed explorers would venture out. To this day, the structure is said to be haunted by the spirits of Scott's team. The sounds of footsteps are heard in an otherwise empty room. Voices come from places where no one can be found, and a plethora of people report feeling of being watched. And then, of course, we've got a ghost ship. Her name is Jenny.
Yes. Yes.
Jenny ends up sailing out, and it's a sizable schooner, a double master there, and just it gets trapped in the ice, and I think it's like something like 71 days, I guess, without really any food. They'd been, rationing food and water. But 71 days is the last entry in the captain's log. He was apparently the last one to die.
Oh.
So at least that long. It was just sitting out there, slowly getting covered with more and more ice.
Ugh.
Eventually getting slammed by an entire ice wall.
Brutal.
And that was in 1823, I believe.
Yeah,
and no one could find it. They weren't really looking for it. I don't think. They were just like, well, you get lost at sea, you're lost at sea.
And that's a part of the sea to where we told you not to go there.
Yeah, right.
You're on your own. We're not coming for you when you go to these places.
So anyway, in 1840, a British whaling vessel named Hope, of all things, apparently traveling through the Drake Passage near the South Shetland Isles, saw a vessel that appeared to be in some, they were stuck in the ice. And it looked to them like there were still people standing around on the deck. So they were like, hey, clearly that's well, they didn't think it was a ghost ship yet. They thought it was somebody who needed help, so they sailed over close and then realized, oh yeah, those people are all standing around frozen solid and have been for 20 years.
Woo! That's a fun way to go, though. Like, if you gotta die in a cold way and you're gonna be frozen, strike a pose.
Be a statue. Yeah.
Yeah. Though no records have officially surfaced to this day, legend states that the crew members of the Hope returned to tell the tale of the Jenny, taking only the captain's logs with them. They had no choice but to leave the frozen ship and its equally frozen crew behind, cast adrift at sea. Sightings of the Jenny would wriggle their way to the lore of seafarers who claimed to see the ship, or perhaps the ghost of the ship, silently gliding along the Southern Ocean for all of eternity. There's also some legends say that they went aboard. The captain of the Hope at least went aboard, and that's where he got the log, and then they possibly threw everyone overboard.
Whoa.
To try and like give them like a Christian sea
burial. Yeah.
I see.
But also they were frozen solid.
Yeah, so like
to
that
the
brought
ship.
in the polar bears.
Then there's of course Shackleton's ghost guides.
Ooh.
Oh,
that sounds like something Egon from the Ghostbusters would like reference.
It does.
It says so in Shackleton's Ghost Guide.
Shackleton's many Antarctic adventures once again feature on this list. One would be mistaken in thinking that the moored Endurance was the only hotbed for paranormal activity. According to legend, the journey that he made after the Endurance ran aground may have been entirely lost were it not for divine intervention. A phenomenon known as the third man factor is said to occur in situations. I know, we rarely get to see it.
Know this
uh,
guy.
wherein people are forced to survive extreme circumstances. People will report the presence of a non-existent person, sometimes a guardian angel. In the case of Shackleton and his two companions, they all collectively witnessed a fourth member appear out of nowhere. In his journal, Shackleton wrote, quote, I know that during that long and racking march of 36 hours over the unnamed mountains and glaciers of South Georgia, it seemed to me often that we were four, not three.
Hmm.
So yeah, they something that all three people saw led them
Or at least felt.
to yeah. And then of
Strange.
course there's Shackleton's ghost himself.
Ernie Shacks.
He's one of the cooler ghosts overall. You call him Bit King Ern for short.
Mm-hmm.
King Ern, yep.
The Shackle Man.
Yeah, Shacklemeister is a good one too.
Ooh, he loves that because
He's
he's
a
got
really
those
cool
shackles
ghost.
now.
Yeah, and he
He-
went traditional with it too. He's like, my name's Shackleford. Please give me the shackles. I'll dangle them around.
Jingly dangly, jingly dingly dangly dingly dingly.
Yeah, he says it too. He's like, you don't have to make the sound effects, but he likes to.
He likes
he
to.
loves it.
Who wouldn't?
He prefers those to the actual sounds.
As a ghost, you get to choose what sound you make and what item you get to hold, and he chose well.
I'm gonna go frying pan and hey you kids.
This one also involves Sir Edmund Hillary.
Ah. Ehil.
Yeah, who you of course know as along with his Sherpa Tenzing Norgay, the first people to be confirmed as having summited Mount Everest.
Tenzing.
It's because the other people found Shangri-La and never returned. They weren't the first.
I went to Agartha.
They might have. We don't know.
Listen to the Grave Nugget. Decide for yourself.
Anyway, so Hillary, obviously explorer himself, he's a huge fan of Shackleton. So he decides at one point to go visit Shackleton's hut. Though Shackleton died in Antarctica in 1916, 3 years before Hillary was born, Sir Edmund admitted to seeing the man's ghost while visiting Shackleton's hut in Ross Island. Quote, I remember when I first went to Shackleton's hut, Hillary said, and I'm not a person who really sees things very much, but I went inside the door. I distinctly saw Shackleton walking towards me and welcoming me, and then it all sort of flashed away, and he was gone.
Strange.
It's the only time I can ever remember something occurring like that.
Do you think it could be just a human mind pushed to extremes?
Well, I
And
think he's just visiting now. I mean, he's not like hiking into it. I mean, there's probably a little bit of a hike, but
Regardless,
No,
I
you're
think
right,
it
you're
is possible. I think the human mind has the ability to produce enough energy to where it can make some shit happen.
well, and the thing goes on to say perhaps he did indeed see Shackleton's benevolent ghost welcoming a fellow adventurer into his hut, or maybe Hillary was simply swept up in the inspiring moment of visiting his hero's last remaining expedition camp. So, yeah, you could posit either one, and they both are going to be equally true.
I would never.
I would never posit.
I try not to posit.
I love positing.
I love the sexy slither of a lady snake.
It's
A lot of Simpsons references today.
been a good day.
We'll do one from the Arctic Circle, the Labrador legend of the Phantom Trapper.
Oh,
Yeah, Shoreboo.
Legend has it that during the harsh winters of Labrador, Canada, the Phantom Trapper is cursed to eternally drive his team of 14 white huskies across the region's vast barren landscape, guiding lost people to safety. Nobody knows the Trapper's real name, but many have recognized this Good Samaritan ghost by his clothing of thick furs and skins. It's said that in life the Trapper sold toxic alcohol to the native peoples, even assaulting many of their women before dying of natural causes. Evading retribution for his crimes in life, he's now doomed to pay for them in death.
And the dogs are in heaven, getting to run every day.
Yeah. He didn't do nothing wrong.
Let's do one more. Jump away with the skull going to. This is the ghost of the Arctic Circle Hot Springs Resort. Speaking of spacations. Arctic Circle Hot Springs Resort in the town of Central Alaska was built on the site of a 400 gallons per minute hot spring in 1918. It then underwent several changes of ownership until finally being closed in 2002. Though the facility shut down due to financial troubles, perhaps some of those troubles were due to the odd happenings staff and visitors reported over the years. In the resort's third-floor library, there's said to be a female ghost that roams around the bookshelves, and many of the kitchen workers used to hear strange whistling noises that they couldn't explain, coming from the hallways and exterior. A teacher from California even tried to contact the ghosts of one of the former owners, recording doors opening and closing on their own and claiming to feel the presence of the former owner's wife nearby. Other visitors have also reported seeing the main hall's chandelier swinging without the help of wind, hearing footsteps on the stairs, and watching paintings come to life.
Yes, that's my favorite scary ass shit.
That's great. That's great.
So yeah, if it weren't closed, I would say, you know what? Even though it's closed, if you have the chance, I bet it's still a pretty solid hot spring. You can break in, you can watch some paintings come to life. It'll be a good time.
Regular night at the museum.
Yeah.
Never seen that movie, but does it apply?
Sort of.
Yeah, kind of. I mean,
there's some paintings that come to life in Night at the Museum.
Yeah, there has to be, right? I mean, it's
when I think of it, I think of Robin Williams as T-Row.
Yeah, I've never seen any of them, so I can't reference anything outside of a trailer.
You should watch all of them.
How many is there? 7 now?
I don't know, 2, 3?
I mean, you know, Thomas Lennon's got to make those paychecks.
They should go wild and do Day at the Museum.
just follows a bunch of kids on a field trip.
I don't know what it's about, really. Maybe it's closed and they have to do like yeah, it's closed. The janitors had to close down for like some kind of retiling of some area.
Yeah.
But then when they're there, one of the janitors, played by Charlie Day, accidentally knocks
over the urn that
scenario
contains all the.
I'm sold. Monstroko, I would sign off on. I think. I know I'm speaking for them, but I think it's good.
It is best not to bring them into projects when you don't absolutely 100% like have to for contractual reasons, just because like they would make that movie, but like Charlie Day, like the price would be like his soul or something.
Yeah, I mean, you remember when John Landis used them to produce the Twilight Zone movie?
Bada bing, bada boom. That's the type of shit I'm talking about.
Ended his career.
And a couple of people's heads.
Yes, also that. Anyway, you know, I'll take the freezing cold Arctic skull and hand that over to you, Roger. And
excellent.
Boy, I took a sip of iced coffee when you said that. It was a real sensory experience for me.
Well, I'm going to take the skull and I'm going to go make it invisible, gentlemen, because I'm going to end our episode with talking about the Philadelphia experiment.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a while.
Classic.
It's
Something
been a
that
while.
We're getting close to. Have you seen these invisibility cloaks coming out of the militaries of the worlds?
Oh yeah.
I'm not ready.
Well, I mean, I guess I technically haven't seen them, but
I'm not
I feel
ready.
like I've seen them used.
I'm not ready to see predator police out there, you know, climbing trees, going click, click, click as they oppress the masses.
Yeah. No, it's going to be like the Major from Ghost in the Shell.
don't know what that is.
That's not exactly great either, but it's better.
It's less hunty.
It is less hunty. So if you don't know, let's bring you up to speed on the Philadelphia experiment. This is from the Wikipedia. The Philadelphia experiment was an alleged event claimed to have been witnessed by an ex-merchant mariner named Carl M. Allen at the United States Navy's Philadelphia Naval Shipyard in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
That's merchant marines, okay?
What are they exactly?
It's a branch of the Marines that works with supply and
the Wikipedia page.
merchandise.
Yes, yeah, you are correct. It says the official definition, if you will, is the United States Merchant Marine is an organization composed of United States civilian mariners and U.S. civilian and federally owned merchant vessels. Both the civilian mariners and the merchant vessels are managed by a combination of U.S. government and private sectors. Boring talk after that.
Okay.
So I'm still confused overall. Mariner, mariner?
Yeah.
Let's go with
like, people that if you wanted to convince somebody to contract to move heroin out of Vietnam in the 1960s, you might use one of them.
Okay. So it was witnessed by an ex merchant mariner in Philadelphia around October 28th, 1943. Allen described an experiment where the U.S. Navy attempted to make a destroyer escort, the USS Eldridge, disappear, and bizarre results followed.
Woo! I mean, that is a crazy early time to try and do teleportation.
Yeah, that's
like I mean, I guess we had the nuclear bomb, but the hubris of like, well, if we can do that, we can make a ship disappear.
pretty rudimentary shit.
So going into a little bit, I'm still in Wikipedia, but I also have an article from military.com brought up, and I went to the Naval History and Heritage Command website to get their official records on this incident, which they've had to make several claims on.
Oh, do they have? So they have an official stance.
They have a stance on the Philadelphia experiment. We'll get into it soon. So, the story of the Philadelphia experiment originated in late 1955 when Carl M. Allen sent an anonymous package marked Happy Easter containing a copy of Morris K. Jessup's book, The Case for UFOs, Identified Flying Objects, to the U.S. Office of Naval Research. The book had handwritten notes in its margin, written in 3 different shades of blue ink. Appearing, yeah, it's very, I'm a crazy person and I've written you the notes that you need to see the truth.
Yeah.
Appearing to detail a debate among 3 individuals, each one having a different color blue ink.
Oh.
But also different handwritings. Only one of them who is given a name, and that name is Jemmy. Jemi. Jamie?
Jemmy?
Jemmy?
Gemini.
They commented on Jessup's idea about the propulsion for flying saucers and discussed alien races and expressed concern that Jessup was way too close to discovering their technology.
Wait, I mean, shouldn't we be super close? Wouldn't that be best?
But he was like, we're too close, they're gonna come for me.
Yeah, kind of like oh no, man has now become like us type situation.
Oh.
They have too much power is what's in my head, They want to get very conspiratorial tropey. They want to keep us down, Nate. They want to be superior.
All right, I understand that language.
The commenters refer to each other as or the Romani people, the offensive word for them.
Is that what is that what they
But that's
mean,
what they're
though?
calling each other. It's not what they mean. I think they maybe mean travelers or some sort of nomadic people.
Or some
At the
kind of
time,
maybe it's a group they belong to.
yes, at the time, that slur
Maybe.
was more prevalent to say out in the open, and they used it a lot, being to, we are, as they said, and me, you, and Nate, the rest of humanity are not.
Yeah, yeah,
I like to think maybe they were an early biker gang.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm
That'd be
talking
fun
about.
too. And discuss two different types of people living in outer space.
Okay, here we go. Outer space.
Right? When you think of the Philadelphia experiment, you think of a ship that tried to be invisible and teleported, but you forget the fact that there's a whole bunch of other nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Their text contained non-standard use of capitalization and punctuation.
Ugh, fiends.
And detailed a lengthy discussion of the merits of various elements of Jessup's assumptions in the book. They were oblique references to the Philadelphia experiment. Shortly after, Allen began sending a series of letters to Jessup using his given name as well as Carlos Miguel Allende.
Okay, it's a good one.
The first known letter warned Jessup not to investigate the levitation of unidentified flying objects. Allen put forward a story of dangerous science based on alleged unpublished theories of Albert Einstein. And we'll go into that a little bit. This might also be a part 2. I just might go into what the story, and then we'll dissect it more next time. He further claimed a scientist named Franklin Reno pulled these theories into practice at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard in October 1953. Nope, 1943. As I said, the experiment happened in October 28th, 1943.
Okay.
Allen claimed to have witnessed this experiment while serving aboard the SS Andrew Furuceth. Furuceth.
Yeah, sure.
Furuceth. That is a Liberty ship built for the United States Maritime Commission during World War II. It was named in honor of American merchant seaman and labor organizer Andrew Furuceth. Neat little fact there.
Sure.
I didn't know they were allowed to name ships after commies.
Oh, there it is.
In Allen's account, a destroyer escort was successfully made invisible, but the ship inexplicably teleported to Norfolk, Virginia for several minutes, then reappeared in the Philadelphia shipyard.
To horrific ends.
Yes, let's go into some horrific ends. The ship's crew suffered various side effects, including insanity, intangibility.
That's a tough one.
That's a bad one, yeah.
We're talking through the wall, through objects. People were, in theory, grafted to walls while still being alive.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that.
And being frozen in place. When Jessup wrote back requesting more information to corroborate this story, Allen said his memory would have to be recovered. And Jessup...
Because he got zapped?
Yes, this is from the Carl Allen letters between the two. It looks like it was published on 2016. That is what he said to Jessup, and referred Jessup to what seems to be a non-existent Philadelphia newspaper article that Allen claimed covered the incident. In 1957, Jessup was invited to the Office of Naval Research, where he was shown the annotated copy, the one with the multiple blue signatures, 3 different handwritings, Jemmy being the only one named. Jessup noticed the handwriting of the annotations resembled the letters he received from Allen. 2 officers at ONR, Captain Sidney Sherby and Commander George W. Hoover, took a personal interest in the matter, and Hoover later explained that his duties as Special Projects Officer required him to investigate many publications and that had ultimately found nothing of substance alleged of this experiment. And that's when it kind of now gets into more investigation of it. But that is kind of the long and short without going into the truth, which I'll bring us next week, if that's okay, gentlemen, of the Philadelphia experiment.
Bring us the truth. Shine the light.
All sorts of stuff. A very interesting tale that brings us Nazis and Albert Einstein and so many weird things that I'll get into next time with corroboration from the U.S. government.
I mean, I like something that starts with three people's apparently conversation sending a book around to each other.
Yes, let me try. I don't think they're sending the book to each other. I think they
just
sat in a
writing
row.
it and then like
Okay.
It kind of feels like they were mailing it around, right?
Yeah, so never mind. That is true. That's way more reasonable. Like they would write a new note and then they would send it off.
Yeah.
No, but it is funnier if they're in the same room. It's just like
getting up and correcting each other. Hilarious.
Yeah, secretly like sliding it across the table.
Yeah, here we go. This is from what I see. No, those are the Carl Lende papers. I will find them and I will edit them into the episode.
All right, mate.
Yeah. I want to see the randomized capitalization and punctuation.
That's the weirdest things. Okay, I found nope, that is a different book. That is margin notes from an insane person who's doing the same thing in a John Milton book.
Okay, well,
that's a start.
Different things drive different people crazy.
Yeah, John Milton has driven a lot of college students insane.
Well, folks, I think that does it for another episode of Werewolf Radar. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for turning up and bringing your ear bulbs. We sure appreciate you supporting the show. We sure appreciate you telling your friends about the show, giving us 5 stars wherever we can get them. If you really like what we did, check out our Patreon. Get an extra episode every week. Check us out on Twitch. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out on Twitter.com, which still takes you to that place.
It does. I recently met a post about what you think you should do for Halloween. Check it out. I'm not going to re-say it.
We already have plans. Me and my girlfriend are going as Shania Twain and Gritty.
Nice. Slutty Gritty?
Just Gritty.
Oh, well.
I mean, Gritty's kind of a whore anyway.
Yeah, Gritty's already pretty slutty.
Yeah, that's putting a hat on a hat, as Jordan said.
Yes, exactly. Until next time, thank you so much.
Putting a hat on a codpiece.
For joining us. On the count of 3, our sign-off line. 1, 2, 3. Punch the sky!
Spaceman Joe!
Oh, a spaceman.
Ooh, what's the tip?